Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Sean Ewing, and today is October the 29th, 2012. Wow, we've come to the end of yet another octave, the green octave. We are on the final concept within the spiritual topic of cultivation. The reason why it's cultivation, every word that I choose is specific, because cultivation describes an air of patient work. Not for the result, but for the act of the work itself. Cultivating a garden, cultivating a discipline, cultivating your body is a commitment for life. And what the green octave really makes apparent is that it's the cultivations in life that really determine the reality of our frequency. I've described previously that this is a difficult octave for me to converse in, because although I understand it as intrinsically as I can understand anything, communicating it requires me to take a different view on the knowledge that I've amassed. And predominantly, since I amassed the fourth octave through the self, through unconditional love of self, applying it in the context of others is it's challenging, but obviously not undoable. Alright, the whole purpose of each octave is that it has a core centralized concept that is the most perceivable nature of its essence. Green is love. Not just love, though, unconditional love. If you're going to really understand this concept, get rid of all of the societal programming about this concept. Meaning, get rid of the view that unconditional love comes from God, or comes from your parents, or comes from some sort of spouse or social interaction. All of those are absolutely and undeniably false. Unconditional love in and of itself is describing the concept of accepting and allowing something to be as a precept of your nature. Meaning, it does not require anything of the other person. It doesn't require any specific mode of behavior, any specific talk or belief structure. You're doing it because it's who you are. And then you extend it to another person. That's unconditional love. If you want a true model for it, look at this planet. Look how it gives everything that it has to everyone, irrespective of their moralities, beliefs, judgments, their righteousness. And it asks for nothing in return because it does it by its own nature. That is unconditional love. Everything else that resonates at that frequency loves unconditionally. Anything, though, that has a precept, a condition, either post or pre, for you to be receiving of the full blessing that they have, that is conditional love. Meaning every form of God that's out there that's saying that you need to pray a certain way, adhere to certain rituals, eat certain things, act a certain way. All of those are conditional love. Your spouse is a most likely a representative of conditional love. Your parents certainly are, because they love based on their ability to perceive the nature of love. I'm not saying these to depreciate the nature of people. I'm saying it so I can accentuate that nature and allow you to see it for what it is. Outside of filters, outside of judgments. What you'll understand is that there's two resonant frequencies that exist. It's why we did polarity last week. It's because polarity is where it becomes really understandable how your choices for interaction protocols. The self and the other. Conditional love and unconditional love. Internal love. External love. All of them amount to the same choice, but the depth within that choice is what makes the action significant. For instance, for myself, as I came to understand the nature of this world, the nature of this planet, the fact that I literally exist within a womb, that every breath that I breathe was a part of this planet. Every molecule of my body came uniquely from the surface, the soil of this planet. That I am a harmonic tool, a harmonic instrument that's built exactly in resonance with this planet itself. At least my body is. Once I came to understand that, then what I came to understand is sort of the natural complexion of unconditional love. I came to understand it on its own terms, as it exists, outside of my perception of how it should exist. So what happened is when I understood that, then I could start doing two things. The choice became either I can turn that in or I can expand it out. I can either expand it out and begin to radiate and replicate, accentuate the love pattern that I feel internally from my connection to the world that I'm made of, or I could choose to turn it inwards and delve deeper into the nature of myself, and by extension the nature of everything that went into the creation of that self, and learn to love it. For me, it was easiest to turn inwards, go to the deepest portions of myself, and then once I understood that, once I truly loved myself unconditionally, to invite people into that inner space. However, the guiding ideology right now is the exact opposite. That as soon as you become conscious, as soon as you become aware of unconditional love, you turn around and you start trying to heal everything. You try and love other people and correct them and accentuate and take away their pain. Not saying that it's good or bad, but what happens is that the choice really bears fruit of its resonance, because it's a cultivation. If you cultivate an oak tree, you're going to get acorns. If you cultivate a pine tree, you're going to get pine cones. If you cultivate a fruit tree, you're going to get fruit. See, by knowing the nature of that which you are interacting with, you become involved in the process, not only from roots, but also every expansion of that root. You become a part of the trunk, a part of the branch, a part of the leaves, a part of the fruit itself, instead of just being the fruit. Most of us live just for the fruit, especially those who are conscious. We've been taught to believe that only the fruit carries the truth of the matter, but that's not true at all. The fruit is a dense representation of the essence of the matter. When you really become in tune with yourself, you're aware of every drop of rain that you're saturating. Every inch of space that rain has traveled in order to get to you. You're aware of the ocean. You can keep going back. You don't have to be the fruit. But then when you do become the fruit, you understand the fruit, not just know it. You know every part of it. What it's made of, how it got there, why it's there, what purpose it serves. See, this is the difference between knowledge and understanding. Understanding being the feminine concept, knowledge being the masculine concept. For me to say that one is better than the other is to miss the point that there are two, that they both exist. We can reason. We are rational. We do have logic. We have science. We also have intuition, instincts, perception, allowance, support, encouragement, mysticism, metaphysics. See, the predominant mindset says you go with one or the other. If you're going to be a psychic, then you get rid of logic. You get rid of anything that derives from logic. You depreciate science, you depreciate rationale, you depreciate the cognitive functions of the body or the functions of the mind in order to accentuate the interaction of the spirit. And the density model goes the other way. It says that if you're rational, You start and end at the body, at the material world. See, the problem is, those are both intentional lies. If I'm in control, and I can tell you this because I've been in control of many worlds for many times, for many, many, many millennia. If I'm in control, the choice that I'm presented with for maintaining that control is twofold. I can either rule absolutely by density model and fear, or I can corrupt. Those are my two options. I can either dominate physically, or I can dominate psychologically and spiritually. However, any leader, any real leader who is viewing the world that they live in is going to see that most of it cannot be controlled. It is beyond the nature of control. All beings are sovereign. So for me to maintain even the facade of control, I have to convince you that you're not sovereign. And then I have to encourage you to do activities that are going to depreciate you in nature. That's why I set up religious structures that are going to make you less than what you are, that are going to divorce you from your logic, from your density models, from your voice, from your power. Or, if you decide to choose the power, then I divorce you from sort of the very substance that you can use, that power can cultivate, your spirit, your intuition. It's the reason why the frequencies are so polarized. It's the reason why if you looked at the density society and you're a spiritual being, you'll say, man, I want no part of this. And most often you'll go and run and hide in an ashram, or you'll start a conscious community. But that's based on cowardice. Never forget, unconditional love is realizing that all things are one thing, and then allowing that thing to interact with you on its own terms as you expand on yours. To either choose to extend unconditional love inwards or outwards. This brings us to a totality concept. What I'm trying to drive home is that ultimately the life that you're living is your life. You interact with other people in order to understand and give depth and complexity to your life. But it never has to do with the other person. It never has to do with the other, because there is no other. It's only ever been you. From the very beginning until this point, it remains you. Not independent from the source, but independent because you're the source. Sovereign because there's no version of reality that isn't you. There's no one in this world who is different than you. We are all the same. So therefore, no one, including myself, can tell you what to do with your life. That's why I make an active effort to give you things that I find useful in my life, so you can see if they are useful to you. I don't come with the perception of how you should use them. I also don't tell you why you should or how you should think. That is not for me to say. I'm not here to bind portions of myself. I'm here to set myself free. But I cannot be free if other versions of me are. See, I don't have to distort the world. I don't have to look at society and view it in a way that makes it all like happy and fuzzy to me. I can see it for what it is. I can see the fact that most people, 99% in fact, are trapped in slavery constructs. Constructs that are deliberately implanted in order to depreciate the self, so that single portions of the consciousness can elevate themselves at the expense of others. I can see that, and I don't have to be disgusted by it. But again, I don't have to say, alright, well, this is the way it's always been, it's going to have to be that way. No. What I can do is see it and then choose. Alright, do I want this to continue this way? And if not, which I do not, so I start interacting with myself that way. I don't dictate to any portion of my inner structure how it should live, nor do I dictate to you how you should. Come, live with me, be free, so we can live together.